If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/VillageXchange. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed, and y'all shall eat them. Wait, no, vanilla. Okay, here we are. Okay, go ahead.
We are a professional operation.
We are professionals.
Okay, all right. If you're looking for tips on how to run your YouTube channel, you can hire us. Just kidding. I mean, we could have done a lot. We could do a lot worse on YouTube. I'll tell you. We actually could give you some really good tips. We could. We just met somebody the other day. The other day, an amazing YouTuber. Yeah, he really would be. I know. Shout out to the homie. I know. Oh man. Florida man. Yeah. Hey, it's Remo! Hey! Hi! Alright, guys. Alright. Now listen. You guys know usually you do the 4-song streams, yada, yada, yada. We got DJs and all that. We've got an OG DJ who's legendary in the community by the name of... I'm sorry. No, it's My Insanity. Oh, you wanted that? For a very specific reason. Please leave it alone. Well, I mean, it was showing. You keep doing stuff. It was showing. That's why I moved it. Just don't touch it. Thank you. Thank you. Just leave it where it is. Go ahead. Continue. You were talking. My God. My Insanity so we have an OG. DJ. We have an OG by the name of My Insanity. He is really the DJ of DJs. I'm not going to lie to you. My OCD is kicking it over here. What? Because I said DJ of DJs? No, because it's glowing on the screen. Oh. You're messing with my Infinity Black on my side. That's why I moved the thing. Anyway, but I guess you got yourself a plan. So we have My Insanity up first here. Not up first. He is our DJ of the day. The whole day is about him. Yes. So the first song on his list is by a band named AUGER, I suppose. And the name of the song is My Guardian. Let's check it out. My Guardian is the song. AUGER is the band. Let's check it. Let's get that time.
I counted every single tear. 94, nothing more, nothing left for me to cry. My
Shire.
Into our own world.
Into our own world. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener.
I love this song.
This was a great song.
Yeah.
I love the song. Shout out to the big homie Dwayne. You know, Dwayne, it's funny. I was about to like hit you up on the phone and be like, "Yo, D, we coming," and then I just completely forgot about you, brother.
And then,
Apologies.
No, he didn't.
Masigasi Dahasi.
I was gonna make a joke like we make in every stream, but I'm like, if people never heard the previous streams, it might be a little bit. I'm gonna hold off on that one.
You're white.
I think we all know
you're white, so
what
you
the
wouldn't get away with it.
subtext of that joke was going to be.
You and Elizabeth Warren. Some
Okay.
frauds. You know what's crazy to me? Like, we'll talk about that later.
Offline.
All right.
So my
I love
Guardian,
this song. My God.
Me too. First of all, it has the sound that we like.
Yeah, I love that. I don't know what they call that. New wave. What do they call that?
That's
That
what
like
it sounded like.
miserable
New
miserable
wave, like,
British vampire.
Look at.
Right? Like it's miserable British vampire music, and I love it. Like I've never heard a song in that genre. There's another band that we did like 2 or 3 years ago, and I keep forgetting the name of the band, but like it's that kind of attitude, like that I think like that was another 80s creation, that style of music. Like I think I love the 80s sound, and I love that, you know, the raw 80s female vocalizations. I think that if only there was a band that could combine
all of the great stuff together. Up and coming.
The Beatles invented new wave. You know what? That would not surprise me. I'm not gonna lie to you. I wouldn't like that. Would not surprise me if they. You know,
after we watched that documentary, it wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah, them dudes, like,
not gonna lie,
they were writing hits. The Beatles were writing hits, all type of craziness.
Yeah.
Like, and just like, oh, well, I figured I'd do this, blah blah blah, and it turns out to be like a classic all-time song. Like, them dudes had talent in the pinky finger to last for generations, man. Rest in peace to the big homie John Lennon.
That's true.
Man.
That's so true.
I hate when I see videos about like genius creators and they're dead. I can't stand that shit.
Yeah, why?
It sucks. Huh?
Why?
Why what?
Why do you feel that way? Like, we've been like for me, like, I was always surprised by your reaction to that stuff. To be honest with you, it actually made me feel a little bit better sometimes when that was already here, because I'm like, well, they're already gone. Like, I don't have to feel sad about their death. Like, you know, the Lion King guy, the father in the Lion King? Yeah. What's his name?
James Earl
Jones, yeah.
Yeah, the dude that played Luke Skywalker put up R.I.P. Dad. I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, okay.
You know, Luke, I am your father.
Yeah.
Although, it's not Luke, I'm your father. Apparently it's
not.
No, I'm your father. Which, wouldn't the Star Wars people be able to answer the question for us? Right? Anyway, that's a different story. Yeah. That's for the conspiracy day.
Yep.
All right, let's get back to this. Go ahead. Shout out to Eric D71 in this bitch. Let's go. Gang. Good to see you, buddy.
I thought it was a relatable song for a lot of people. You know what I mean? I counted every single tier. 94, nothing more. I wonder why 94?
Maybe he cried 94 tears. Yeah,
but obviously, like, this is... Vin will do this thing where I'll, like, bring him something. He'll be like, that's great, but if you could just increase the sugar by, like, 33.3%, I'm like, I dumped it. How am I going to increase? How would I even know what 33.3% is? So this is, like, another one of those, wait, what's going on? 94, nothing more? You're like...
How's the mic coming in, guys? Do you see any noticeable difference from past to now, or is it the same? I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I didn't know what the 94 was. Like, if this person didn't look so young, I would have said maybe this came from 1994, but...
Yeah, what year was this written?
Right, that's true. Just because he looks... Yeah, that's true. It could still be.
Hannibal Lecter in this bitch.
I am going to check what year, because I don't know.
Sounds like we sound
2018.
Great. 2018. So it wasn't the year 1994.
Can't be that.
I you know, it's funny because we just got done this really cool experience called the Speakeasy Experience. And Jet,
I'm not gonna lie, I could do one of those like so often. I really, really enjoyed it. Well, I don't know if they're all that interesting because this one was Edgar Allan Poe, and I've never, like, you referenced it a lot, you know, but I even read it myself. I read some of his stuff, but it didn't have that impact when I read it to myself.
Muscle guy. I keep telling you, like, we're not fighting. Just shoot him. That's what
it's
the dude
over
said.
with, it's
He said,
over.
hey, Mimi, no, not that situation. Just shoot him. I was all like, they're like, no, you failed the course. I'm like, what are you talking about? You failed what? I squared up on the nigga. Like, that's the problem. That's the problem. Like, if you're dumb enough to do that, you can't go with us, bro.
Oh my gosh.
But what about Michael? Shut the fuck code of honor, man. Shut up. This war. What are you talking about? You're going to try to square up with the beast of Revelation, man. Get out of here.
Oh my
Look
gosh.
at this man.
Oh my gosh.
Look at this man. I'm not fighting this man. I'm not fighting this man. I got a wife and kid to go home to. Nigga, I don't worry about none of that, boy. You
Click
boom,
clack.
boom. All right, back to our regular scheduled program. Stop trying to intimidate people with your pectorals, man. Scary ass. All right.
You're probably not even talking to that person anyway. This is YouTube, man.
Yeah, I know.
We know who you are.
Yeah.
Urkel. All right.
I got a couple. Oh, I'm so crazy today. All right, go ahead. Continue.
All right. So
Tell people what they've won.
So I don't know what the 94 is. Nothing more. Nothing left for me to cry. Obviously, 94 is significant in the fact that it meant that was the end of the amount of tears that he could cry. So whether that was I did it for 94 months, we were together for, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the 94 is, but I would like to know. Then he says, nothing left for me to cry, my eyes run dry.
Well, I was bringing up the speakeasy because of Edgar
why'd
Allan
you
Poe.
do that?
And there was something that he said. I was like, that's an oddly specific time. But anyway, there is also the term nevermore. Quoth the Raven, nevermore. Mm-hmm. And if you look, it's 94, nothing more.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's drawing on a, Edgar Allan Poe-ish type of...
Yeah, because look at the picture.
Saying?
He's sitting here with a raven right beside him.
Yeah, like the raven, yeah.
And obviously it has that sort of dark...
Yeah, exactly.
The dark look to it.
The aesthetic is crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't know what Edgar Allan Poe looked like, but why do I get the feeling he was pale? Maybe because everybody
I
had
get the feeling he was pale with like jet black hair and very skinny.
Yeah.
Like malnourished almost.
Well, let's...
There's nothing wrong with being that malnourished. Dude died at a pretty
death could follow.
He died at a pretty early age.
No, remember how everybody was getting
tuberculosis.
I was going to say TB, yeah.
Yeah, but then he basically drunk himself into a stupor and then he collapsed and he hit his head and it was all over for the whole. I felt a sadness deep within my soul. It burns a hole in all my feelings.
Okay, so I'm thinking that this is a relationship song. And a romantic relationship at that. Guys, I've grown. Now I don't just only think there's one type of relationship. I realize there are many.
Sadakta.
I felt a sadness deep within my soul. It burns a hole and all my feelings disappear. I'm so alone. For all the trouble that I've caused, I never meant for it to hurt you or for it to go that far. I've said my piece. So it sounds like it's over with between the two of them. But it sounds like he still loves the person, but he screwed up way too much for it to be able to continue. And then he said, every time you look my way, think of the man that I was, not the man that I am today. I'm so alone. That I also thought was like probably pretty relatable because I think that
I love Jet. Dave Grohl cheated on his wife and had a baby with another woman. Damn.
And that's this person?
No, Dave Grohl is the Foo Fighters guy. Used to be in Nirvana.
Are we talking about him just randomly?
Well, we're talking about relationships and problems in relationships and all that stuff. So that's obviously going to bring a problem to the relationship if you go.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Have a child with another.
Yeah. Well, so there's this idea of like you're a certain type of person. And then you become something that you don't like about yourself. And then you try to find this journey back to yourself. And I'm not really sure if that's actually healthy. Because I think that, one, you could look at the center part of your life where stuff went haywire as like that was always in you. You were always that person. You just didn't have the circumstances around you for you to show that's who you are. So for instance, maybe you didn't have, you're a musician. You're a musician. Maybe you were like a loser. Can you stop playing? I know that was just my way. We're
wrapped around. Fuck, man. You need to buy a new one of these things. This should not be this sensitive. Tap the thing. All right, go.
So I think that, like, okay, so maybe you're like a musician, you're in school, your band hasn't taken off yet, there's not really a lot going on for you, and then all of a sudden, like, you get your music out there, and you blow up, and now all of a sudden you're getting a lot of attention, and the girls are coming out of the woodwork. So then all of a sudden you're in this situation where, yeah, you're in a relationship, but now all of a sudden there's all this access to stuff you didn't have access to before, where maybe before you would have done all these things, but you just didn't have access to do them. But now you do have access, so it shows you who you really are. So there's that. But, like, I don't know, like, I wonder, like, a lot of times people are always trying to go back to who they were before, but maybe it's like, okay, I was this. Now I see that I'm also capable of this. And then it's like, now who am I going to be? And I almost think that, I guess what I've been realizing is I think that it's better to go forward and understand that you are both people, and that's all you've seen of yourself, and now you're moving on to like a better version of you. Like, you're seeking the healing, you're trying not to do the things that destroy you. But I just don't think that it's helpful to try to go back. Like, how can you go back and be the person that you were? You'd have to forget the middle section that actually happened. And I just think it's more helpful to just say, okay, like, let's move forward. You're never going to return to that innocence that you were before, or that naive that you were about who you were or what you were capable of. So, oh, Dave just announced it. That's why it's, it seemed random.
But yeah, keep going.
So it's to me, it sounds like what he's saying is their relationship ended, but he still feels like connected to this person. And he said something interesting, which he talked about control, but he said lose control right here. Can you help me find myself, who I was long ago? Can you help me take it all? We'll retire into our own world. Can you help me see the light, the one above me so bright? Can you help me lose control in a world so powerful? It's interesting because when he said lose control, I took that initially as lose the need to control. But I don't think that's actually what he meant. But I'm not sure how
did you interpret it?
Well, like I just said, like, can you help me lose the need to control? Like, lose control in that way?
I see. Lose control as a concept itself.
Yeah, lose
Gotcha.
the concept of control.
Gotcha.
In a world so powerful. But it seems like
that's an interesting. Okay, that's pretty self-aware. Because he's saying he wants to be able to lose control in a world so powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense because it's
okay. So you take that interpretation.
What?
Well, I thought maybe I was just reading something into it.
No, I'm taking it as he is talking about how his personal desire for control,
yep,
is precipitated by the power of the world. It seems like he's saying that the world is powering him, mm-hmm. or that there's something about the world that he can't overcome, and so because of that reality, he then turns into a controlling person. Mm-hmm. He says, what does it help me to lose control when the world is so powerful? So I'm assuming in that context, what he's saying is, I'm trying to do something, I want to do something, but I can't because the world is stopping me. Mm-hmm. And so the way I react to being controlled by the world, which is really not being controlled by the world, it is recognizing the fact that you're not a divine being. Mm-hmm. And so that there are situations, thought processes, elements, animals, whatever, that you cannot control. And when people get into that realization, it sparks a fear mechanism, especially if you don't have any guidance, if you don't believe in the transcendent, if you don't believe that anybody's watching over you, mm-hmm. then it can fill you with a certain kind of fear. Mm-hmm. And then you do the self-talk and say, well, how do I function now in a world in which there are things that could significantly affect my life, but I have no control? Mm-hmm. They then react and say, okay, so everything within my circumference I will control then. In order to minimize, the fact that anything could happen to you. You could get a bad phone call, you could get whatever will happen to you, and you have no real control over it. Mm-hmm. And so I've noticed, you know, what, like,
Do
the
you-
desire to control another human being is a interesting one. Go ahead. I'm sorry. What was you saying?
Yeah. Do you think that there's any connection with super controlling or people that are trying to control elements of their life or the lives of people around them that are outside of their control? Like, so it's basically you're trying to collect the ocean or trying to stop the waves in the ocean. You cannot do it, but you're still like, you can still exhaust yourself trying to stop those waves,
damn it.
and it's not going to make any difference except for where your hands put up. Like, that's all there is, and there's nothing that you're really doing that's significant, but you can exhaust yourself trying. And then those types of people lacking self-control in their reactions, in their, you know, whatever. Like, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you've spent your control on something that you cannot control, and now you have no bandwidth left to manage your own self, your own emotions, your own reactions to the world around you when things actually that are maybe not super significant pop off. Like, you maybe overreact because you're exhausted. You've tired yourself trying to stop the ocean. Thoughts?
Yeah, it's interesting because, you know, he talks about, I felt the sadness burn deep within.
Yeah.
Within my soul it burns a hole, and all my feelings disappear. I'm so alone. So to me, when you get to the third verse, that's the explanatory power. Because something happened, it doesn't necessarily have to be the relationship. Something happened in his life that filled him with deep sadness that he could not escape. And so the means by which he was able to psychologically stay here on the planet is that his feelings were gone.
Oh.
See, he says, I felt the sadness deep within my soul, it burns a hole, and all my feelings disappear.
Yeah.
And some of that is involuntary and some of that is voluntary. I think, you know, your mind has defense mechanisms in the same way that your body has defense mechanisms. Your nerves are a defense mechanism, right? And so if you can think about, like, whoo, I put my hand on a stove, your nerves are going to tell you that. Well, your mind has the same thing. And what happens with people is that when the mind is getting assaulted by too much stress, too much this, too much that, it'll shut down. Now, when you're faced with that shutdown moment, you now have the responsibility to say, no, I'm not going to shut down. I'm going to overcome it somehow. Or you completely surrender to it. And if you surrender to it, then it's true that you will be hurt a lot less about things. But it's kind of like the conundrum in The Giver, where it's like, yes, you're not feeling any pain, but because of that, you're not experiencing all of humanity or all of the human experience, because you're robbing yourself of that because you're worried about mitigating pain. And a lot of people there, it seems to me that because we had such a crazy conversation in the Bible Boogie yesterday. Mm-hmm. It's like the greatest Bible study of all time, like ever.
Yeah.
And all of us are trying to wrestle with...
I thought you were going to say the record button.
No.
I'm like shaking my head. No.
Ian was here, and I didn't want to.
I know, but we had to say it because I'm sitting there like nodding my head, like, no, this is so bad. So,
it was the greatest Bible study of all time.
It truly was.
Yeah, because, you know, Christians aren't going to do what those people did, bro. Christians are like, yeah, praise God, that all makes sense. But, like, one of the things that we were wrestling with in together as a group, because there's atheists, Buddhists, Christians, whatever, Catholics, Protestants in our group, and, like, one of the things we were trying to reconcile was the concept of free will over and against the concept of mitigation of human pain and suffering. Mm-hmm. And so, like, there's this kind of tension that starts right in the... I mean, it's really a human story tension, but it starts right in the beginning where it's like, okay, you've got this tree, so now you've got some free will, you know what I'm saying? You have to make an active decision to follow God. And a lot of people are like, yeah, but then they screwed up and now all this bad stuff is happening, so why didn't God just shut it down? And it's like, well, yeah, if mitigating human suffering was God's ultimate good, then I get the argument. But that's not God's ultimate good.
Yeah. Right?
And so if you don't have a ground to stand on theologically or philosophically, and you end up in a relationship, good luck. See, this is one of the things that, like, our modern world doesn't understand. Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh, we have science, blah, blah, blah. All science does is tell you how the car works. tells you about the engine, the intake, and all that. Like you can, if you're a scientist, you can go and you can revert. You could take a group of scientists, right, and you drop a convertible in there. A couple days, weeks later, they're going to have the whole thing mapped out, right? So science can tell you why the car works the way that it does, but it cannot tell you who made the car and what that person is like. It can't tell you that. So there are so many disciplines in the human family that counts towards our apprehension of reality.
Yeah.
And so to try to completely make everything about, empiricism and what we can confirm by, visual data is crazy. Because as the dress thing pointed out, we can't even see colors properly. And if you really want to get crazy, we're making them up. There's no such thing as green. So yeah, it's a really interesting thing. Like for example, look at all these colors on the screen. None of these are right. None of these are real colors.
Yeah.
They're projections. What I'm saying? Like they're not actually.
Codes.
They're right. What you're seeing with all these colors are a bunch of zeros and ones, right? So when you get to a situation where your feelings are so hurt that it in order to not feel the pain anymore, you shut down emotionally. It'll solve the problem, and that's the problem. There are times when pain is just gratuitous in the sense that it's just pain for pain's sake, but there's also time when pain is there to direct you, hey Vin, how about you stop injuring yourself with your exercises? Maybe you can have some discipline in your exercise regimen so you're not injured all the time, because nobody's impressed with an injured person. Good for you. You did all your push-ups, sword, muscle fail, and now you can't move your neck. Congratulations. You see what I'm saying? Seriously. So when you decide you're gonna kill that part of it, and look, man, I get it. I don't. I mean, that's where I'm at right now, so I got no judgments for this dude. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't, now that my brother's gone, I always know when I've turned a corner with stuff, I always do. Yeah, I definitely turned a corner when my brother died, for sure. And I don't, obviously I don't know if that's good or bad, but for all the trouble, but that's the shit that happens, right? So now you just shut your feelings down so that you could cope with whatever happened, and then it results in, for all the trouble that I've caused, it wasn't meant to hurt you, etc. This is another thing we were talking about at the Boogie, where we're talking about original sin in Adam and how unfair it was, and I'm like, listen, do you like the concepts that human beings are a big giant family? And of course, everybody loves that idea. And I said, well, if we're truly all in a family in the world, then it is impossible to take an individual action that only has individual consequences. When you're in a family with somebody, what you do affects them as well, positive or negative, whether or not you intended to do it. And so he goes, I'm sorry for all the trouble I've caused. I never meant for it to hurt you. And with me, it's really interesting because if it's the beginning of the relationship, a person says that, I'm with it. But if you're a year or 2 or 3 in, you're not going to say that to me. I never meant, because one of two things is true if you never meant to do it. Either A, that means you've got a penchant for just talking shit off of your head, at the top of your head, and you're not really focusing on what you're saying, in which case, what's the fucking point of us communicating in the first fucking place? Or, let me not say that. So, I like what he's doing here because he's, to some degree, he's taking accountability. But if you're the kind of person that's constantly hurting your significant other, and your fallback is to say, I didn't intend for that to happen that way, then what you need to do is say, okay, so my intentions are the problem, so I need to actively and proactively work on my intentions to get to a point where this doesn't keep happening. If you don't do that and you just feel sorry for yourself, and then you can say, well, I did this on accident, I didn't intend to. The lack of intention is also a problem. So, like, he is saying, like, I never meant to hurt you, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, you got to have enough self-awareness, bro, that if you're, and like, these are conversations I have myself every night now. Like, you know, you got to, whatever happened, that you, whether or not you had control, whatever happened, like, cool. But, I mean, nobody cares. So you got to find a way to, you know, acknowledge your own pain, whatever, and still be at some level available for people who need your availability. And so it's like, I relate to the dude to some degree, you know, past relationships or whatever, and then there's other points where I'm like, all of us are masters at making excuses for ourselves, right? And when you're in a bad situation, or like, I experienced this, like I'm saying this just for context, but I had a crazy ex-wife. And so what happens is that because she has some mental health issues, that some of which went undiagnosed, all of them pretty much went untreated. Because of that, when a breakup happens, people are looking at me like, oh, this guy's a poor victim, this girl was crazy, yada, 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 right? They don't understand the dynamics that they didn't see, right? Because they're only just going by perception as to what kills the relationships and how it, you know. So he's hurting this woman pretty deeply, but then he's calling her, can you help me find myself? Can you help me take it all? Can you help me see it? So he's not reciprocating in this relationship. It's completely a one-way relationship where he does all this shit to her. She has to eat it because he said his piece or whatever. And then he's asking, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? So like, this woman's entire existence is about serving this guy's, you know, and like I said, like, he's probably dealing with, and like I said, I put myself in there as the guy, you know what I'm saying? So so I got nothing but love for the guy in the song, but at the same time, it's like, bruh, if you're doing this shit to hurt her, like, I didn't intend to hurt you, is not good enough after the 50th transaction. Like, I'm not gonna let my I'm never gonna teach my daughters to accept 5 million apologies from someone they're serious with. I think it's a waste of time to hate anyone. The emotions of love and hate and the decisions that flow from those emotions are extremely expensive. And so my philosophy is keep the people I love at a minimum and keep people that I hate at zero. Because I'm too much of an arrogant person to hate people I don't like. I just disappear you. But like, it's a really tough conundrum, man. Because on the one hand, like with her, like, I know you want to support me, etc., etc. But at the same time, like, there's a ceiling that you can get to because you just haven't had these experiences. You know what I'm saying? Mm. But ironically, pretty much every time I get a bad phone call about a close family member, you're like within 2 minutes away. So that's good. You know what I'm saying? Mm. Yeah. So it's a deep song.
This.
Yeah, I just struggle with the whole, like, putting all that emotional baggage onto somebody. But then on the other hand, I'm like, well, yeah, but I mean, if you can't do that with your significant other, who are you supposed to do it with? And it's like, well, a therapist. And it's like, well, I mean, is it fair to have your woman be a therapist? Especially when, you know, a lot of shit you need therapy for, she wasn't even around. Or you put yourself in those situations. You know what I mean? So it's just, you know, I'm just trying to be, this is a pretty little bit of a moment, I guess, man. Relationships are tough, man. I remember being a kid and, like, you'd be in that church and they'd be like, oh, yeah, they had the 50th wedding anniversary and everybody stood up and clapped and shit. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, you get a hand clap for staying married. Like, I had no idea. I had no idea as a kid at all.
I thought the same thing, although a lot of the relationships that I would see, it looked like there are two people that just, they figured out how to, like, live in the same vicinity. It wasn't that they were like we fought through this and we still are for each other. Like, yeah. And that's like, you know,
that's really the biggest thing, is that I think a lot of people, especially when you're really young, are not prepared for it. Like when you look at how relationships are, I don't know how to say this without coming off the wrong way, but there are young people that really truly believe that The Notebook is like real life. Mm-hmm. What they see on TV, they think it's real life, and even worse than what they see on TV. Here's the real kicker. They think what they see on Facebook is real. So you got these couples on Facebook, blah, 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 blah. Oh, they're so pretty, they're so handsome, blah, blah, blah. They got their life, they're running the world, they're doing this, they're doing that. That could be an entire catfish, you don't know. But because you're a teenager and you're in your room, you don't know any different. So all you're doing is looking at crazy ideologies in the movies on TV, and then you're looking at a bunch of catfishers on Facebook, and then creating this entire narrative about your life as to how you're a loser and things like that, because, you know, whatever. Or you lose a really great, significant relationship because the dude can't be the dude from The Notebook or whatever. So relationships are extremely difficult, and but they're also the most rewarding thing in the world. And if you know, I want to be extremely careful. If you are not with somebody, that doesn't mean your life is over or whatever. But if you do feel lonely and all that, I think the other thing is, when you hear songs like this, it can help prepare you to not be that person. So you might be able to take advantage of your singleness and say, you know what? Let me work on this trauma response. Like maybe your friend's been telling you, like, bruh, when this happens and this happens, you go crazy. It's completely unjustified. You haven't done it once, twice. You've done it like 14 times. Like those are important conversations. So if you're single, most of the time it's like, oh, I gotta find somebody. And you end up doing all types of crazy shit. I don't have a problem with people like going on dating apps or go clubbing. Like, if you gotta find people, you gotta fish where the fish are. It's just what's underneath all of that. Is there a purpose for the relationship? Is there a mission for the family? You know, those kinds of things. So anyway,
I thought this part too was like a double. He says, "Can you find me another life?" So it almost sounds
Right.
like he wishes he could be a whole nother person, maybe so he wouldn't make those mistakes, not realizing that every single one of us, like, that's the message of Christianity, is that all of us suck. All of us. And so
Yes.
even if you found yourself another life, or somebody found you another life, you just suck in another way.
yes. Yeah,
and so
that's good. Yeah.
When he says, "Can you find me another life? Can you find me one much simpler?" And then he repeats, "one much simpler." I like that, like the concept of simplicity, the concept of so when he says another life, I took that as so an AI, sorry. I kind of look a little bit Asian in a way, like it's like a little mix, a little mashup. I like the purple.
Who wants to see Asian Sori? It'll never happen. Continue.
Can you find me another? So when he said, "Can you find me another life?" Like it sounded like it could be like that, but also in another life, like this life, like realizing, like, okay, the two of us, we're never gonna get this squared in this life, and it seems like it's over between the two of them, and so maybe it's like, look, can you find me in the next one? Like maybe, like, whatever you believe that the afterlife is, like we believe that it's, you know, a new body, but you're still gonna, you know, be like yourself, your personality and stuff like that. But can you find me another life? Can you find me one much simpler? Like the next life, maybe it wouldn't have the problems of this one, and so maybe the stuff that separated us won't be there, and so it'll be simpler, and we can actually work this out. I think that he genuinely loved this person, but I think that the problems were just, you know, from the point where he was at, was insurmountable to fix, to be able to...
Yeah, there's obviously something happened to him that changed his... Because he says, who I was long ago, who I lost long ago, or whatever.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, that's real.
I love the song. I feel like it's really, like, relatable to a lot of people, you know, relationships and how things go. I did find it, like, a little bit... Oh my gosh, that looks scary. I did find it like, he said, can you help me find myself? Will you help me take it all? We'll retire into our own world. See, again, it sounds like he wants to, he's like, maybe in another place we'd be able to make this work. Then he said, the one above me so bright, can you help me lose control in a world so powerful? So when he says like the one above me so bright, I don't know if he's talking about like God, or if he's talking about like some higher power, or if he's talking about the idea of another world, like, oh, that like there's something out there that like, oh, we could do it over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do find it odd. Maybe you don't, but like I find it odd. Usually like I feel like that women are the ones that are like, you should be helping me, help me. Like, but like instead of like the other way around. So when he's saying, like, for her, can you help me find myself? I don't know who he's talking to. I don't know if he's still leaning on this person that the relationship ended over. Yeah.
Yeah, he's talking to homegirl.
But I don't know. I don't think that a person. I think it takes the divine to help you find yourself. Like, I think that part of finding yourself is.
I don't even know what the hell that phrase means. And I've never heard an what do you mean find yourself? What does that mean? Find yourself.
I think it's coming to the place where you're secure in the decisions that you make and you can look yourself in the mirror.
Unbelievable.
Just
Go ahead.
People can't, there's a lot of people that can't look themselves in the mirror, and they haven't been able to look themselves in the mirror for years, and maybe they don't even realize that they haven't been looking in the mirror. But there comes a time where you have to face yourself and find yourself, where you can come back to a place where you accept yourself in the sense of.
Okay, so find yourself means to be able to look at yourself in the mirror?
Well, I think it's bigger than that. I think it's, like I said before, the whole, you were one person maybe when you were younger, or maybe doesn't have to be younger. It could just be like at a different period of time in your life. And then something happened and you changed, or over time you begin to change, or availability of doing certain things came to you, but things changed you. And then you kind of find, like, when you're like, it's kind of like the trope for like teenagers. They know so much, they're telling adults, you know what I mean? And then you kind of like, as you get older, you're like, well, actually, let me ask some questions here. And then you get even older than that, and you're like, maybe, like the whole thing, like maybe my parents knew something, and they're like, damn, I wish my parents were here so I could ask them this question.
Yeah.
Because you realize it doesn't matter. Like, if you went through life and you didn't go through life becoming a worse and more bitter person, then you have something to offer. So give us some of that intel. So I think that find yourself is just coming to a place of self-acceptance. Like, not that you're like, I'm a shitty person and I accept that, but that you're like, you've become the type of person that you can look at in the mirror, and the type of person that you're the type of person that's so busy with other people and watching other things that you're never really working on yourself, but coming to the place where you know the things that you want, the things that you like. Like, some people don't know. It happens a lot to moms where they'll be like, well, whatever. There's like, I don't do anything but the children. You know what I mean? They like lose themselves in that, in that. But yeah, I loved the song. Like lyrically, I feel like it's relatable for a lot of people. And sonically, it's just, I loved it. Really, like, top notch. I like the entire thing. I don't know how many people are in this band. I wouldn't be surprised if this is like a one-man show type of situation. Or two-man show type situation, yeah. But I would like to hear more from these people, because I liked it.
Agree. I love the new wave stuff. We just probably spent an hour and a half on this thing.
I know, between all the stars.
9.7 for me. A very good, strong outing at the beginning, right from the get-go.
Yeah, for sure. 9.8 for me. Loved it.
I guess there's supposed to be some sort of debate in 3 hours between two people who want like to run the world or whatever. I'll probably be covering that one too, inshallah. All right, guys, we'll see you beautiful people on the other side of the break. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.